Right. Well, that means that's time for leaderboards. That's what that means, Bridget.
Yes.
Bridget, that's time for leaderboards. We got the Durgan agency, the ellefson agency, and the Felix Master agency, powered by Quility. Wow, I like that. I should have put that on mine. But anyhow, you're here. This is our team call for the start of the week. We're gonna crush this week, and we're gonna come out with some high energy. And right now, we're gonna celebrate a little bit of last week. Look at this, CJ with one app for 622, Mr. James Burge with one app for 1200 APV. That is the average 100 a month for the average of 1200. That's awesome. Margaret Gents. Oh, there you go. We'll get there, Kim. You know what? I'll stop right there, Kim. That's a great question. APV is annual premium volume, which is what the client pays. So if you look at James Burge, one application for 1200, that client is paying $100 a month. Multiply that by 12, and at the starting contract level, um, you make 80% of that. That is your commission earned. Then the carriers take and they give you a 75% advance on that, which happens within 24 to 48 hours of the policy being approved. And the other 25% comes in month 10, 11, and 12. So hope that cleared that up. That was a good stopping point. That was a good example, actually, because Bridget and I talk about that every day on recruiting. So perfect. Margaret Jensen, three apps for 32.74. Brandon Helmick, four apps for 33.52. This page, Durgan with nine applications for 11,608 APV. Rafa, my buddy, seven apps for 13,118 APV. And yours truly here with seven apps for 14,258 APV. And to follow that up, Kim, if you look at my production for the week, 14,000, divide that in half. At the starting contract level, that's generally what gets deposited in your bank account in that week. And I can verify that we are at real close to that 7,000. So there you go. That is really, really cool. So um, awesome stuff. I got a little note here. The Durgan monthly should be 90,000 for the week. Durgan Ellefson with 21 apps for 30,000, just over 30,000. The Felix Base Shop with 12 apps for 17,000. And for the month of October, Bridget, your team, seven unique riders, two new riders, 48 applications for 75,000. And with ours, um, eight unique riders, two new riders, 43 applications in the aforementioned 90,000 in APV. So that's a really good week, actually. If you think about it. I just tried to hit next on the screen, Bridget. It didn't work. So you're next.
Little,
I was
little
like, I was like
fuel.
pushing my mouse and it's not going anywhere.
That's funny. And again, guys, if you're new, on the left-hand side of that, that's for the week. That's what's possible. So when you look at those numbers, I know when you're new, you're kind of not, I don't want to say detached from it, but it's kind of like, yeah, okay. But remember, I would say that by a lot, Tommy, wouldn't you agree? 90% of us came from zero, probably more insurance background. So we just learned this. We just followed the system, right? This next slide, this here, the conversations had, that's those of us that have talked about the opportunity of symmetry with somebody, right? This is the real vision of the company because as you guys see, amazing income from being a producer, an agent. You can, but it's all on you. And so the ability to build a business here and something that you have, you own, is really again the vision of the company. And that's where life gets pretty darn good, right? Because you have that time flexibility as well. So for last week, James had a conversation, Tom had two, I had three, and Paige had three. And with recruiting, I said it before, it's a long game. You just have to talk to enough people because here's the thing. We're just sharing the opportunity with people. We don't prejudge. Maybe they're not looking. Maybe they couldn't do this. Maybe they won't be interested. You guys, you never, ever know where somebody's, head is at, heart is at. And what's going on with them employment wise. You never know. Sometimes people don't know until they get the hey, here's your last paycheck type of thing. So this slide here, we need to see a lot more names on it. And it can be something as simple as sending a text to 5 people a day in your phone. That's what Paige and I did in the beginning. So, and this what it kind of parlays into, guys. So new writers for October. So congrats to everybody on this screen because this means you've gone through the whole process. You've, cleared out some of the foggy spots, and there are many in the beginning here, right? We talk about drinking from a fire hose. I remember thinking that, like, man, okay. So you just get started. So Hunter wrote an app. Thomas wrote an app. Lindsay, I see you on the calls, Lindsay, direct to Ibble. And then Margarita, congrats today. Today, you're just looking to dial as much as you can. Don't worry about the appointments. Don't worry about the count. Just dial as much as you possibly can because we know if you dump in on that side, the results will come out the other side. So great job to all the new writers for October.
Oh, here we go. And this is awesome. This came up a couple times last week. If you're looking to figure out um, how to do something, where to do, where to go, where to work, where to share time, space, and feel like you're in an office, it's right here in this Zoom workroom. You made it this far. There's all kinds of breakout rooms. There's all kinds of fun stuff happening. There's um, I know Larry Grossman does an underwriting thing sometime during the week. I don't remember when, but there's all kinds of stuff. There's people dialing. There's the Mac room. Jump in there for massive activity constant correction. Dump, jump in there. There's going to be people in there. You don't need an invite to get there. It's open, and I guess I would say it's more expected to be in there, right? Because that's where we that's where the team shows up. So there we go. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Um, well, this is going to be cool because this was inspired by our by my base shop call on Friday, but this is taking it another level as well because I think here at Summit, actually, I don't think I know. Um, I think a lot of times when you start, it becomes a little bit of a it becomes a little you struggle with self-worth and it's not so much a motivation problem. We all know how to work, we all know how to be successful, we all know how to do this or be successful in our own life, but I think it's more of a belief identity problem, and belief always bleeds into behavior, right? So let's look at three things that we can control: mindset, message, and movement. Okay. Um, you know, I'll start with this, the mindset. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your belief. And man, that's so strong because, you know, I think for all of us, we tend to, um, I guess, what's the word? We tend to latch onto our outcomes as success instead of anchoring to who you're becoming, right? That your worth isn't tied to the result. It's proven by your resilience. Think about that. Think about that. Every dial, every no-show, every no is not evidence that you're unworthy. It's a mirror reflecting how much you're willing to fight for who you can become. And you have to believe in the process, the progress, right? That's the win, not perfection. You know, um, doing doing it is better, at least doing it is better than trying to get it perfect. And think about this. This is so cool here. Um, think about when you're going to start your appointments or you're going to start dialing. Start with this little 30-second mirror mantra and just keep saying this. I'm valuable. I'm capable. I'm built for the climb. I can do this. This is me. This is Yeah, and keep repeating that over and over and over. I'm valuable, I'm capable, I'm built for the climb, right? Um, because how and I start with this, and I said this on our call the other day, and I'll put it in the chat here if I can do this while I'm talking. Um, P, all right. So think about this programming. Programming leads to thoughts, leads to um, feelings. Feelings lead to actions, and actions equal your results. Okay. So think about this. What is your programming? And programming, a lot of times you can hear negative programming through your life. You can hear, no one in my family's done this before, Bridget. Nobody. Nope. Nobody's done it. Yeah, hey, nobody's gotten themselves out of blue collar financial level. Nope, nobody, not in this family. Hadn't done it. Um, but your programming in when you recognize the negative programming and you can change it, that's when you start changing your thoughts. Then your thoughts of, hey, I can do this, start moving into the feelings that I can do this, that I'm building momentum, and then the actions support that, right? And then once you do that, the results come through all of that, the actions taking part. Now, I don't know about you, Bridget. I love this quote. I talked about this on Friday, but man, I don't know about you, but I've done a lot of manifesting, and you know what a dream casting and all that, vision boards, but I've never had a bag of money drop out of the sky. I just haven't. It takes activity. You have to put the activity in whatever you're doing. If you're a newlywed, you've got to take the activity to build that relationship each and every day. You can't just, okay, I'm married. Bridget, if you and I were married, we're married. Okay. That's not going to work. You have to put the activity in this, right? And the repetition builds your identity. Identity builds your confidence, and your confidence builds your production, right? And it takes the activity. Now, it also comes down to how do you see yourself, right? And that's kind of the message. Sometimes you see yourselves when you start out as a salesperson chasing an approval, chasing a yes, chasing this, right? Um, but here's the thing, when you change your mindset to you're a professional delivering peace of mind for these clients that need the mortgage protection to help protect them against sudden death or disability, okay, now you're starting to see some stuff, right? And then your self-worth then comes from the service, not the change, not the sales. Then the game starts to change, right? Think about this. You're not begging for business. Please just stop if you are. You're bringing solutions to people that are looking for these important solutions. You're not a telemarketer either, right? Yes, we dial. I get it, but we're not a telemarketer. You're a transformer of families' futures. Think about that. You're a transformer of family futures. These people, these leads right here, these leads are people that have asked for your help, right? And that's huge. Um, think about this. If you've done this, this is fantastic. I hope you're at this stage. If you're not at this stage, do this when you get there. Write down three families you've protected and one line about how that coverage is going to change that family's outlook. And then when you read that back to yourself, now you're going to figure out that your worth connects to your work again, right? Three families. And before I tie into action, I want to share a couple quick little wins because it's going to tie into the message and the movement here. Um, Last Friday, actually, I took a warm market. It was a warm cold. I don't know however you called it. Somebody called me, said, "Hey, I want you to come to my house. I need insurance." And I'm like, "Well, we do this online." Well, if you don't come to my house, you're not getting anything because I demand people to be a I demand to meet people. And I'm like, all right, man, okay. So I asked them if they got up early. I drove up there. I drove an hour and a half to get to someplace by 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. It took us it it took us 10 minutes to do some, cordials and greetings. Took about 10 minutes to narrow down the application. I was done by 7:25. And then I got brownies and drove home. And it was instant approved, instant issue. And yes, I was exhausted by the end of the day. Um, but through the timing of that, I had another appointment. And this was a follow-up from an appointment before. Helped him put in two applications that were instant approved. So two of my three applications were instantly approved on a day that I was just gassed by the end of the day. My son won their conference title Friday night, so it was a good day. I mean, that's just cool, right? And I love that, but that's the activity part of it. And then I posted this in Teams on Saturday. Dropped my daughter off at her first basketball practice ever. Attended Sam's last JV game. Came home. After that, helped Tammy protect her seven nieces and nephews. She's a former military vet doing four tours in the Middle East. And man, it's just so cool to hear when you have these conversations and when people actually really say thank you and they mean it. My goodness, and what we do matters. And that message, that that movement is going to help cure everything going forward. Bridge, what do you got?
Yeah, I love this, Tommy. And I mean, so that you had a day, right? A day of days in the best of ways. But how was it? How did you get to that point to where, do you guys ever notice like anytime you're working on something new, the harder you work, the luckier you get? What I mean is, as you're putting in the activity, you do create momentum for yourself and you start to pull things into your momentum that help you. I mean, that's just the way it is. But that wasn't always the case for most of us, Tom, coming in. So what did you need to change or give up, right, to
Do
be able
you
to get
did
yourself to that
have
level?
you seen my notes? And I appreciate you asking this
I'm a
question
mind
because
reader. Just remember
it
that.
it leads. It's what?
I'm a mind reader. Just remember that.
Oh, I'm playing that song next time. Um, but there's four things that go to this. There's four things, and write this down. The elements of change. One is awareness. You need to change, whatever that is, right? Or you need to be different, or you need to grow, or you need to do that. Two is understanding what the changes is and what it's going to do. And the third one is disassociation. We talk about association a lot. We don't talk about disassociation. So think about this. Separate yourself from the negative thinking. Separate yourself from the Eeyores, the woe is me. This is, I can't do that. The whining, the crying, all that, right? And I think the fourth step is the most important. It's the reconditioning, and that is the self-development part of it. That is uh, the reconditioning. I would say this, Bridget, and thank you for that question. The It goes from, okay, I'm gonna dial and I'm gonna book some appointments. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to write 3,000 this week. I'm gonna try to, you know, but it's understanding that statement and moving it to say, I can, I will, I know. I can, I will, I know. I will dial. I can book five appointments. I can book 10 appointments. I mean, it's proven. Who's our guy that who booked seven? Hunter, right? Hunter booked seven appointments in the last week because he said, I will book five. And then he booked two more. But it's the reconditioning of your mind, it's the reconditioning of your heart. And if you want different results, the results are the fruit on the tree, right? If you want different fruits, you can't just change the fruit that comes out of the tree. You got to change the roots, and the roots come from inside. That's the reconditioning. That's the I can, I will, I know I can, I know I'm worthy, I know I can do this, right? That's that's where the special that's kind of the special sauce, right? And think about this. You know, you- I love. That was a perfect question, Bridget, because you can't think your way out of low self-worth. You have to move your way out. Stack the small wins. Track consistency, not comparison. Hey, if you're a banana tree, don't compare yourself to an apple tree. Doesn't work. It just doesn't. Um, and man, I'll say this too. Confidence doesn't come before the call. It comes because you made the call. Every day you show up, you're depositing belief in your internal bank of belief. And you want to lead when you're on these meetings and on this and you're in dial sessions, make sure at the end you say to yourself, I did something that mattered today. At the end of the day, I did something that mattered. Because I'll say this, I'll close with this, and if there's more you want to add, Bridget, go for it. You can't outperform how you see yourself. You can't. But once you believe you belong and you're worthy and you can do this, you'll show up like you do each and every single day. Every day. So, for all of you, let's let's work on that self-worth, one call, one client, one win at a time, right? And stack those wins, celebrate those wins. Hey, if your win is like, and Ibble, I'm going to use you an example, and it's a good example. Ibble's made thousands of dials, thousands. There's no doubt. She may have made more dials than anybody on this call outside of Bridget because you've been here longer. But I can tell you a win of 50 dials on a Sunday, that's a huge win because that's not something normally she does. That's stepping out of yourself. That's just owing yourself that I can do this. This is not normally what I do, but I'm going to do this. And it's going to make a difference because today, when she gets on the phone, it's going to be a little easier. She dialed yesterday. It's going to be a little easier, right? Um, does that, Bridget, does you want to close with anything, or you good where
Yeah,
that's at? Or
this is again, these go back to the fundamentals, Tom, and they're called the fundamentals for a reason, right? Because they don't change. And I mean, you can try to talk your way in and out of anything. So it always starts with how are we thinking about things? And because there'll be ups, there'll be downs. How are we thinking about things? And the best way I know to learn to look at them in a way that is productive, makes sense, doesn't take me down a rabbit hole, is you have to guard the inputs of what you're putting in your mind every day. You have to read something, listen to a positive podcast, shut the news off. I mean, these are things, guys, that if this is new to you, personal development, and it sounds a little, hippy dippy woo woo, then I don't know what to tell you. This is the way you get successful. You stay successful, not only in this business, but in your life. So this was a great, great call, Tom. Thanks for this.
awesome, awesome. I'll open it up real quick. Anybody got questions, thoughts, ideas? I'm all for it because it's so important. And if not, then we all understand that um, activity activity-based movement will increase your self-worth each and every day. And post your wins on the team chat, even if it's a simple, and I say simple, even if it's Ibble dialing, making 50 dials, we're going to celebrate the heck out of that because that is awesome. That is what this schedule can do each and every day, right? So there you go. That's all I got.